Okay. He's looking at the video or looking at the Zoom. Can't see the top of my head. It's because the top of my head's higher than this is. I'm gonna focus on the board. But that just in case, there's the top of my head. Okay. It's not cut off right here. Okay, well, this is an intermediate algebra course, MDE 60. Okay. I'm going to spend a good bit of time today just kind of probing what you might remember about elementary algebra. Now, what I find is in this course, the vast majority of students need a fairly extensive review of elementary algebra before they can handle intermediate algebra. Okay, so we're going to do a quick review of that. By quick, I mean about 3 weeks. Okay, if we find that you doesn't look like you know enough elementary algebra to handle intermediate algebra, and that sometimes happens, but most students who do all the work in this course on time, every day, get through it okay, to the point where they can attempt with reasonable expectation of making it out of the Math 161, the pre-calculus course, as long as they take the MDE 61 course, which is support for that. The way I've got that set up this semester and the way I've set it up in the past is that course meets consecutively. We have the support course, then we have the pre-calculus course. That works well for people who do the work. Nothing works well for people who don't do all the work. Okay, so the first thing you got to understand is you got to do the assignments you got to do, and you have a couple of assignments that we do. One that's due today. It's the introduction to My Open Math. Takes about 10 minutes. Okay, the other is on fractions, because you got to know how to do fractions in order to do the rational expressions we get later in the course. That's like fractions with symbolic expressions in the numerator and denominator. We've got to be able to add those in the plane. Okay. So we start off with, and that's usually one of the big hangups in the course, in the pre-calculus course. It's something we don't get to in this course. We're pretty late in the semester because it's a fairly advanced topic, but we've got to establish that you can do fractions right away. And if you can't, then the assignment's going to take you a while. If you remember how to do fractions, especially how to add and subtract them, which is a harder operation, these assignments won't take you long. But if they do take you a long time, well, there's a reason for that. You need to review them and you need to get them down now, so we can move on to other things, so you don't keep stumbling over things that you don't know. Okay, so I'm going to probe a little bit. I'm just going to ask you to do a few simple problems, and then they'll get less and less simple until we get to the point where I've got a pretty good gauge on what you remember at this point. It might have been a while since you had an algebra course, and if you're rusty, that's okay. I just want to get an idea of how we need to pace this course, because that's going to depend largely on what I see today. Not largely. I've got some wiggle room in the scheduling of assignments. Okay. If I find we need a little longer review, we could actually do that, but it's not a good idea because you're getting a whole Algebra 2 course. We don't want to compress that any more than we need to. Okay, well, that's what we're going to do today, and that's a little bit about what's in the course. Now, I just tried to print the syllabus without success, so I'll have a printed copy for you next time, but it's right there in Canvas. You can find the link, and I'm going to ask you to read that for next time so we can really talk about it. But I'll give you the high points. Okay, you're going to have to pass a couple of tests. Okay, I think the way I've got this set up is there are 3 tests. First one's kind of optional because the first one's over the elementary algebra, which isn't officially part of the course, but you got to know it to do the rest of the course. And I recommend that you take that test because it's probably going to be the easiest test that you have. The best chance for a satisfactory grade. Most of your grade is going to be on the tests. If you don't pass the tests, or get close to passing the test, you're just not going to pass the course. Now, when I say get close to passing the tests, you're going to have homework every day, okay? Often a couple of assignments, maybe more over a weekend. If you do the assignments in the appropriate way so that you learn the stuff, rather than just go to ChatGPT and let it do the homework for you and get your points, okay? Now, those points might make a 1 or 2 point difference on your final grade, okay? So if you're 1 or 2 points below passing and have a good score, even if you got it from ChatGPT, I figure you're close enough. And of course, the way I do points, you will pass, okay? If you got all your homework points or most of them. But that's all the homework is going to do for your grade. And then we have a kind of a daily quiz, and that might be another point, all right? So if you come into class and haven't learned it, you ain't getting those points, are you? Okay, so you want to get those points, and that's what you really want to focus on. Even if you screw up the homework, okay? If you learn it, you're going to do okay on the quizzes. You're going to get at least that 2 point buffer on your final exam, on your final grade, okay? And if you do most of the homework and screw up a little bit, you know, I can't police whether you go to ChatGPT and nail it for the extra points. Okay, the points aren't that important. I mean, yeah, having a little extra wiggle room at the end of the semester, that's real good. Okay, but the more you use ChatGPT inappropriately, and I'm talking about ChatGPT, Bing has a thing, and you know, there are all kinds of online resources. Okay. Your goal when doing the homework is to learn the stuff, not to get points. If you learn it and don't get all the points, you're going to be much better off because you're going to know what you're doing when you take the quiz, and then it comes around to the test. Those neurons will still be firing a little bit. So if you review before the test, you're going to do okay. I hope. Okay, so there we have. And one other thing, if you have a question, raise your hand. I prefer you don't talk while we're on the video because then I can't post it publicly. I still post it to the class, but I can't post it publicly, okay? So we don't want your voice on there because that can identify you, and that is a privacy violation, okay? So if you got a question, just pop up, we'll pause. Somebody is watching this live, somebody in the distance section is watching it live, and I see a question pop up there, you know, I'll stop and we'll talk about it, right? Okay, so I'm kind of talking about a lot of different things, but the focus is you learn the course by doing the homework, okay? Now you see how I conduct classes here in a little while, but it's very interactive. I'll give you a problem, I'll give you an explanation, I'll give you a problem, and I'll come around and see how you're doing. Okay, there aren't many people sitting here. And I don't expect a lot of people who have different schedules and so forth to be doing this as distance students, okay? Live, although some might. Okay, well, again, do your work so that you learn the stuff. And we'll talk more about what that means. Okay. You also have videos. This is done through Open Math. I don't know if any of you, anybody gotten into the Open Math yet? Okay, well, you need to do that today, and you need to complete that introduction. That's assigned for today, okay? And you go to Canvas, and it tells you exactly how to enroll. And I'll probably let the people who are here in class today do that, because it only takes, if you did it, yeah. And if you haven't done it, it's easy, right? There's a class code and there's a enrollment key. Those numbers are given to you in Canvas. You just take those two numbers, go to the link I give you, and use them. And in about 2 minutes, you're enrolled. Okay. And if you need help with that, you know, if you're here live, we can do that. If you have questions on it, distance, I'll be checking email pretty regularly today. I do have a routine doctor appointment this afternoon, so I'll be gone for an hour and a half probably. Depending, you know, how that can run. But normally on Mondays, I'm checking email pretty constantly through the afternoon. Okay. Now, a little more organized on the syllabus. I've already told you how you're going to be ready. There are points involved. We'll talk about the points in the arithmetic. And just exactly let you compute it. How much homework is going to come, how much testing, how much quizzes are going to come. The course is graded pass fail. Okay. Now basically, there are 3 grades you can get. You get an S, which is satisfactory, which allows you to move on with our blessing. Okay. I'm not sure we can prevent you from moving on the way the system has in its greater or lesser wisdom set up prerequisites which don't really exist anymore. Okay. But you really want the knowledge of this course to go to the next. Okay. I've had students who try to, you know, at the end of the semester, I'll give you advice. I'll tell you, okay, from everything I see, and if you're a distance student, I can't see everything. I can't see you do things live. I just know what you did in the tests and stuff. You know, and tests have to be proper through our testing center, through a learning center on a remote campus. Because we're not going to grade you in this course based on your ability to sit home and let ChatGPT take your test. It's, and I'm picking the ChatGPT, which is pretty neat actually. Good stuff. I keep digressing. I'll get organized in a minute. Okay, now I'll give you kind of a summary. Another thing about ChatGPT is there is a way to use ChatGPT to learn stuff. Okay, if you don't let it do your homework problems for you, but let it give you its alternative explanations, they tend to be pretty good. Don't always believe them, take them with a grain of salt because they do really stupid things. Okay, I mentioned rational expressions. I had a dialogue with ChatGPT that took me about a dozen clarifications before I convinced it that it didn't know what a rational function is, which is really an algebra 2 pre-calculus level concept. I have not caught it on advanced concepts, your graduate level math and physics stuff. Okay, and the part that I know, it gives me good stuff. Okay, so if I need it, I could use it to help myself clarify some of these really tough abstract ideas that very few people can understand, including me. Okay. I don't include myself among those who understand it either, but you know, at that level, it's tough. Okay, basically, I'll probably be talking about how ChatGPT could be used. Or Bing, whatever you call it. I haven't been into that one. It's got some neat features I want to explore. Okay. Again, I was talking about the grading. Okay. You get a satisfactory. You get a satisfactory, and I'll tell you whether, if I think you could conceivably do pre-calculus without the support course. It's unusual. I like 1 person in 10. I've had people try to skip the thing and they show up in my pre-calculus course. They just can't keep up. They just don't know enough. You don't learn enough in this course unless you really, really, really nail it to do pre-calculus without the support course. Okay, I'll tell you my opinion. You can ignore it. If you do, you risk setting yourself up for failure. Set you behind further than it would to have to take that extra blame course. Okay, the fact that you're in here shows me that you have enough sense or somebody beat enough sense into, I don't know, to know that you don't know enough. You might not know enough intermediate algebra to succeed if you haven't had an intermediate algebra course. Okay. I get a lot of people that sign themselves into pre-calculus and they haven't had intermediate algebra. If their IQ is under 160, they're not going to pass. Okay. It's just too much. Overwhelms. 140 might be enough. 160 would nail. Okay. Again, back to the grade. Get an S. I'll either give you a recommendation or I won't to skip the support course. Most likely not, but I haven't seen your work yet. Okay. You could get a U, which is unsatisfactory. You'll get an F, you get a U. And incidentally, these grades don't go into your point average. Okay, they're just totally irrelevant to your point average. They'll go in your transcript, but they won't go into your point average. Okay. So unfortunately, we often get a number of U's, mostly because people don't do their homework or don't do it honestly. Okay. But sometimes because, math can be challenging for a lot of people. I'll work with you as best I can. We'll see how much math we get into you this semester. Okay. Now you're the one gets it in. I just support. So there are all kinds of options. And sometimes I'll give an incomplete, but don't like to do that. Most people get incompletes, just never do any more work. Their grade gets changed to U and they don't re-enroll in the course, or they don't do the right thing and it does more harm than good. Okay. So I'm very selective about giving incompletes. I mean, if you go in the hospital for 2 weeks, right at finals time, you're getting an incomplete. Okay. No question. There are good reasons. Death in the family, injury. I fell down for the first time in 50 years. Yesterday I was going down a steep bank. It was slippery. I rolled down the bank. I'm approaching middle age. Well, I feel okay. A bump in the head, but it wasn't a rock. It didn't bother me for more than 10 seconds. And of course, my dog is the reason I did it. And he was attached around my waist, and I rolled a couple of times, so we had to get ourselves untangled. I was wondering how I was going to feel this morning. I feel fine. So that would have been a dumb way to miss first day's class. And so all I'm saying is unexpected things can happen. You get injuries, you have to miss a test or whatever. Unexpected things can happen. Injuries, illness. And we can accommodate that with incompletes if it happens at the wrong time. Interferes with your ability to complete the course. All right. Okay, what else? There's a bunch of stuff about if you got disabilities, if you got this problem or that problem, or if you got mental health problems. We even had to put something in there. Okay. And then that's new to the syllabus. I'll have that printed out and hand it to you next time. Sorry, I don't have it today. It's on the web. You can read. I want you to read it for next time. So in case you have questions, we can answer them and then dispose of it. I can say, you got a question about the syllabus, read the syllabus. I probably won't really say that, I'll clarify it. If I get stupid, ridiculous questions, and that's really stupid. If I get a question that's obviously answered if you've read the syllabus, you say, go back and read the syllabus again. And if you still don't have it, okay, maybe I'll give you an answer. But you want to be self-reliant, you want to be able to read the syllabus. I outlined the topics that we're going to do here. It's just standard intermediate algebra topics and a lot of elementary algebra topics. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna stop now. That's enough about the syllabus for now. Read it, we'll nail everything down in a more organized fashion than we have in front of us. I'm gonna pause the video and see if you have any questions. Okay, now if anybody's wondering about the picture, it's there to keep the camera in focus because the camera has a mind of its own. And we don't want the picture going all blurry. I'll bring it over. An exercise. Okay, so I'm going to write down a few problems. A few fairly early elementary algebra stuff or middle of elementary algebra, and then we'll go more advanced as we see more. And of course, if it looks like you're not going to be able to do something, I'm probably not going to put it up there. Okay, so I kind of have to gauge it by what I see. Okay, these are simple questions. Start pretty simple, but they get a little harder as we go along, but not too hard, I don't think. So we want to solve the equation x plus 4 equals 7. We want to simplify a simple arithmetic expression, 8 plus 6 over 2. We want to solve 2x plus 5 equals 11. Solve that equation. If possible, we want to simplify x plus 3 over x. If it's not possible, if you can tell me why it's not possible, that's okay. But if it is possible, you want to simplify it. That's the case anytime I ask you to simplify something. The answer might be it can't be simplified. Okay. The answer might be, well, you simplify this. Then find 3 raised to the 4th power and expand 2 times the quantity x plus 4. Okay. If you don't understand the terminology, I can explain it as you get to it. And I'll just kind of give you a couple of minutes to get started and see how you're doing. If you're a distance student, then of course I'm not going to be able to watch you, but I'd like you to write these out. Use a scanner app on your phone or get to a scanner somehow. If absolutely necessary, you could do a picture like a JPEG with your camera, but those usually don't turn out very well and they're hard for me to read, so make sure they're big enough and you write nice and bold so I can read it, okay? And email it to me, okay? Then I can comment and I can kind of gauge, and don't get help, if you don't understand at this point how to do something, show me, because I'm going to make assumptions about where to start, how fast to go through material, and so forth, based on what I see. And if you're having a lot of trouble, I'm not going to fail you in the course. I'm going to figure out what we can do to bring you up to speed. Okay. And maybe it just requires a review. So that's what I would like you to do right now, and then email that to me. Yeah, now if you're a distance student and using this video, you don't want to watch what I'm going to do next unless you've already done these problems, okay? And don't go back and fix the problems. You're going to email to me. Now, actually, you're not even required to watch these videos, but they're here for you, and I recommend that you use them if you find them useful. Okay, so, okay, well, we solved this. I didn't make a good choice of how much more to leave myself. Okay, so we've got x plus 4 equals 7. Now, what people most commonly do, and it's really kind of a terrible way to write things out, but it's what everybody's been taught to do. Okay, so it's not all that terrible, and it's valid. It just takes up more space on the page. Okay, so people will do this. Okay, you're going to subtract 4 from this, you're going to subtract 4 from this, and then you're going to have your answer. Now, I don't like seeing this. What you're really doing is you're writing down the equation -4 equals -4. This is a true equation. And if this equation is true, and this equation is true, then if you add the 2 equations, it's still going to be true. So if x plus 4 equals 7, and this is a true statement, 4 is equal to -4. If we add these, we get a true statement. This is going to be x plus 0 equals 3. So x plus 0, well, if you add 0 to any number, you're going to get 0. You're going to get that number, I'm sorry, 0. Okay, so that's going to tell you that x equals. Now, you should understand everything I just said. The fact that you're adding something that is automatically equal, because it's the same thing on both sides, to something you're assuming is equal, to get another equation, and then using the fact if you add 0 to whatever, you get that whatever, and there it is. Okay, those are rules. Typically, you're taught in Algebra 2 class how to do it without really understanding the rules. Okay, well, if you do it, I'm more or less happy about it, but you're going to find that you learn your mathematics much better if you understand the rules. So there are rules involved in this, even though it's a very simple problem. So you want to understand all that. Okay, now, everybody got this. 8 plus 6 over 2. Okay. Well, actually, two ways you can write this out, but I'm not going to confuse you. Maybe I'll say it. We could do 8 over 2 plus 6 over 2. Come out the same. But 8 and 6 is 14. And then 14 over 2 is 7. I commented, I don't want to see just 7 here. I want to see the steps, because I don't want to lose sleep. And I'll stay up at night worried about you if I'm not sure that you're seeing the steps. Actually, I probably won't, but if enough people are doing it, well, my job. I'll tolerate it no matter what. Okay. But seriously, don't do it out of sympathy for me or anything. Do it for yourself. Write it out and show all the steps. Okay. Now we got 2x plus 5. Really good about skipping symbols. I say 5, I want to write down. Okay, 2x plus 5, just put down and get carried, equals 11. What are we going to do here? Well, before I do this, I'm going to write this one down here. Nothing wrong with this as long as you got the equal sign there, as long as this really is an equality. It's actually not a bad way to write it, okay? It actually has benefits that the other way doesn't. But I do want to show you that you can write this out like so. X plus 4 equals 7. Starting with that, you can write this as x plus 4 minus 4 equals 7 minus 4. Okay. Then you can write out x plus 0 equals 3, so that x equals . Now it's still 4 steps, but when you get into longer problems, sometimes you can combine steps and do things. So right now, I don't care how you do this, but I prefer you be able to do it both ways, because it looks a little different, it feels a little different, and it reinforces what you do. At least I think so. I haven't done an international study with 8 million people to see if it's really so. They keep asking me to do that. Okay. Okay, so anyhow, down here, you got 2x plus 5 equals 11. You want to isolate the x, so you subtract 5 from both sides. I'll go ahead and write it out this way because it's the way most people are confident with. Okay. And that's going to give me 2x plus 0 equals 11, or 2x equals 11. And after you get used to this, you can kind of skip the plus 0 thing. If you're not making mistakes on it, if you're always getting the right answer. And I figure, okay, you probably understand the plus here, but you should be able to explain it if I ask. Okay, now we got 2x equals 11. Now, a lot of people are going to want to do -2 here and -2 here. Well, 2x minus 2 is not x. Okay? 2 is multiplied by x. So, looking at the time, what we have to do is 2x divided by 2 equals 11 divided by 2. Now, one big flaw that I see people do a whole lot is they'll put a line through these and say they cancel. That's not a flaw, it's actually true in this case. The reason I really don't like cancellation, I'm going to kind of live with it, but emphasize the rules, is that people also do that here. Okay? And a majority of pre-calculus students will do that. I've pre-tested pre-calculus classes for years, and the majority of people just cross out those x's. So if I put a 3 here instead of an x, cross out the 3's. It's totally wrong. And there's a reason for that. Okay. It's because 2 is a factor up here. 2 is multiplied by x. So when you divide by the 2, you divide that 2 by that 2. Now up here, if you try to cross out this x, well, x is not a factor with the numerator. Okay. You can't write this as x times something else and get x plus 3. It's not going to work. Okay. That's a subtle point that people miss. A majority of people come out of algebra 2 not knowing that, not knowing the rules for cancellation. So spend a little time fixing that. In this case, though, I'm going to say, without going through a whole lot of stuff, this is 11 over 2, and I want to see the fraction. If you then want to say, okay, it's 5.5 or 5.5, that's all right. That's the first thing I want to see because that's a direct application of the rules. And we're going to gear up to the point where we're doing this with symbols, and you'll have a symbol here and a symbol here, and you won't know what that symbol divided by that symbol is, unless you simplify it. Okay, so yeah. Point is, I want to see the numerator, I want to see the denominator, and I want to see it simplified. All right. Now, 3 to the 4th means 3 multiplied by 3, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 3. And if you work it out, that's 81. I don't want to see just 3 to the 4th equals 81. Okay, now there are other ways you could write it out. You could do, okay, 3 times 3 is 9, multiply that by 3, it's 27, multiply that by 3, it's 81. If you write all that out, then I'm comfortable because I know you know what a 4th power is. Okay, if you don't know what a 4th power is, well, you gotta do some fixing there. Okay. Okay, expand 2 times the part of the x part 4. This is an application of the distributive law, multiplication over addition. Usually just say distributive law, because we don't say all those words, but there are other distributive laws in mathematics. That won't be relevant in this course. Okay. So this is the only distributive law we're looking at. 2 is multiplied by everything in here. I mean, 2 is multiplied by x, 2 is multiplied by 4. There it is. And of course, then we can write that as 2x plus 8. Okay. Now I'm going to write down a couple more problems. I want to not spend too long on this because I want to summarize what you have to do with fractions, because that's going to be due on Wednesday. Okay. And there are two assignments, adding fractions to the same denominator, which is pretty easy. Then with different denominators where you got to find a common denominator. And I just realized that some of what I just wrote here isn't totally visible, so let's make sure this is visible. Viewing the video.
All right. This stuff,
The what?
the university physics.
Starts at 12.
Yeah. Okay, you're having a class right now.
Yeah, but you won't come in.
Oh.
Tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, good. One thing I was gonna discuss with you is I tried to sign up on SIS. And I think what happened was, because I took calculus so many years ago, when I took calculus, it was 170 something. And so it's showing that I don't have the requirement.
Yeah, well, I can override that.
Yeah, okay, so didn't know if I should just contact you or should I go to like an advisor?
No, email me.
Okay.
I will email you back and say, I know you know way more than just calculus.
Okay.
And you should be in and know.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm actually looking forward to taking this class. It's gonna be my fun class.
Yeah, it should be fun. And you'll well.
Sure, yeah, I won't interrupt you or whatever.
Yeah, you want to just come in, sit down, send me that email. I can reply.
I'm gonna go use the
Maybe
bathroom real
you'll
quick.
even be officially in the class before the class starts. How about you? Yeah, probably want to move over to that, so the camera's pretty much right now.
Okay.
I mean, that's just a convenient place. Okay. So how we do?
It's the restroom.
Error there, but I'm looking forward to it. Get the right one. Okay. I'll even tell you what they do. That's minus six, you're negative 12. So what you gotta do, you gotta do plus six, because now negative six plus six is gonna be. Okay. Good start. So. Yeah, well, yeah, you're rusty. Close in. Dude, okay, you might notice that that's a 12 and not a 2. Don't worry about it. If you're using 2, that's fine. I don't care if you use 2 or 12. It's, we copied it down wrong, but it's good a problem one way as the other, so don't worry about it. Huh? On the one you're working on, the 3x plus 12 equals 6. Really? I thought I saw it. 2. Yeah, 100 years old and they don't have glasses. I don't know why I thought I saw 2, man. But that stuff is right, that stuff is right. So that's maybe it's this. I don't remember what it was. I'm looking for everything I see there. Except this looks like. Very good, you're picking it up. That's what I want to see. Okay, we're gonna move on. I guess it's better for us to do these. Completeness. Oh, crap. What was I recording? What wasn't I recording? Okay, well, I didn't get all this recorded, but here are the solutions. X minus 6 equals 9. We add 6 to both sides. We get a 0 here and a 15 here, so X is 3x plus 12 equals 6. Did that one down here. I subtracted, well, I added negative 12 equals negative 12. That gave me 3x equals negative 6. Divided both sides by 3. And I got x equals negative 2. 2 to the 5th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 32. People picked up on that. Well, I think maybe we have a hand up, so we maybe have a mistake. Let me finish up and say the mistake again, then we'll fix it. Okay. 3 times quantity 2x minus 5 is 3 times. See it. Talk about writing something down that's wrong. It's 3 times 2x, not 3 times 3x. I'm kind of proud of myself. I found that all by myself as soon as you told me I had a mistake. Okay. Actually, I only pretended to make that mistake so you can understand it. Maybe once in a great while, I'll actually do it. Okay, so I actually have made it. That's 3 times 2x. Too many 3's here. And that's 6x. Minus 15, not minus. Okay, there we have it. Now let's talk about fractions for a couple of minutes. Okay, so 2 additions, adding fractions. The first one's much easier than the second one. And if you haven't done fractions in a while, you might not remember exactly what to do with either one. So let's see how you do with them. Okay. 2/3 plus 4/3. Okay. How many thirds have you got here? Show me with your fingers. This many? How many thirds? How do you read that fraction? 2/3, right? That's 2/3. So you got 2 of them. Okay. Like if you got a pizza cut into 3 pieces, big pieces, maybe it's a small piece. Okay. And you got several of them. Okay. So you've got 2 of them, and you've got 4 of them. If you're hungrier than he is. Okay. Plenty of pizza, you need all you want. Okay. Now, if you got 2 of those thirds and you've got 4 of those thirds, how many thirds do you have? 6, right? So you can hold up 6 fingers. Okay. So if I say how many thirds do you have, you hold up 2. Okay. You hold up, and if you got 4 of them, hold up 4 fingers. If there are 12 of them, you hold up 12 fingers, right? Well, you don't have 12 fingers, so I'm not going to ask you to do that. Okay. Probably won't ask you to do that. So 2/3 plus 4/3 is, well, you just add the 2 and the 4, but they're still thirds. Don't add the 3's because those thirds don't turn into 6ths, right? They don't get cut in half. So that's common sense of it. Now, open math, the first assignment is just adding fractions that have the same denominator. This illustrates that if you have the same denominator, you just add the numerators. Keep the same denominator, and I just explained why in terms of pizza. If you're really hungry, maybe that distracted you. Okay, open math is going to give you their videos. Their videos with usually at least a third of the problems, often with half the problems, and sometimes the majority of the problems. They're videos that you can imitate. Important advice. Don't sit there with a video in front of you and work your problem. Digest the video, make sure you understand the video. Put the video, get rid of the video. If you got notes, try to put those notes away and do the problem. If it's wrong, usually you'll get another chance for a minor penalty, okay? Then you go back to the video and see what did I did wrong. Go back to your notes, okay? Don't ask Chat GPT or equivalent. Don't ask some AI how to do the problem. Don't put the problem into Desmos or Wolfram Math or anything like that. Do the problem yourself. You got to practice similar problems. You could ask Chat GPT, okay, can you give me 4 problems similar to this one? Okay, and explain to me how to solve the first one and see if I can solve the other. Yeah, there are all kinds of ways you can use the thing positively, and it can really be helpful depending on how you approach the learning process. Okay. Okay, so, well, now 3/2 plus 5/3. This is a little trickier. Okay, it's like you've got this pizza that's cut in half. You got a bunch of pizzas sitting over here, they're cut in half. So you go and you grab yourself 3 pieces. Hopefully either it's a small pizza or you got a huge appetite. Okay. And then you got these pizzas over here that are cut into thirds, and you go take 5 of those. Now, how many pizzas have you got? You got more than 2 pizzas? Well, you do have more than 2 pizzas because you got 3 halves. It means you're going to take 2 halves of this one. That's a whole pizza. You're going to take another half. So you have more than a pizza. And if you take the pizzas that are cut into thirds, well, if you take 3 of them and you got a whole pizza, and then you still got 2/3 left. So you know you got more than 2 pizzas because first thing you're going to do is you're going to glom up one of these pizzas. You're going to glom up one of these. You're still going to have a half and 2/3. If you understand that 2/3 is bigger than a half, it means you got more than 3 pizzas. Now, you might want to look at that part of the video if you want to. If you find it's going to be useful, maybe you find that the open math videos are more useful. It won't hurt my feelings a bit. I'm not trying to do what open math does. I'm going over the same material. I'm doing it my own way, my own words, trying to make it as clear as I can. And then you can see what they do. You got 2 ways of looking at it, and that's better than just one. Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, so here, 3/2 plus 5/3. What we got to do is say, geez, I could divide this pizza into 4 pieces, but those pieces wouldn't match up with the thirds I have here, would they? Well, it turns out what you're going to do is you're going to divide them into 6 pieces. Okay? Because that means you divide each piece of this one into 3 pieces. And you divide each one of these, each piece of the, you got a pizza cut into thirds, you divide it into each third into 2 pieces. I can draw that. There's a pizza divided in half. There's a pizza divided into thirds, right? Now I've got 2 of these and 3 of these, 5 of these. How many do you have? Okay, well, I divide each one of these in half. And let me do that with a different color. Just show you the bottom. Okay. might not be clear if you're not watching me do this. Okay, if you just come up and see what I've done here, and haven't seen what I've done before, you might not understand it, but that's all right. Okay, then what I can do is I can divide each one of these into 3 parts. Divide them equally, or I'm going to come along and hog the big ones. Okay, and if we got them divided equally, 2 of these equals, and I don't have 2 of these, I got 3 of these. Okay, so 3 of the halves will equal 9 of the thirds, because I got a half, get from another piece, I got another half, so that'd be 9. Of these. Okay. So there are 3 of these, which is a whole half. Well, that's the idea. I can divide these up into some common slice that can then be added, because now if I got 9 of these and 10 of these, nineteen of these, 19 of these. These are all the same as these are, same things. Okay, well, maybe you understand that, maybe you don't. The rule is I've got 3 halves here. I can multiply that by 5 over 5, sorry, 3 over 3. And I take that 5 thirds and multiply that by 2 over 2. And it's legal to multiply by 3 over 3, because 3 over 3 is the same as 1. If you multiply by 1, it doesn't change things. Okay, it's legal to multiply by 2 over 2. If you know the rule for multiplying fractions, which I assume you know, but you know, I need to review that a little bit. We have 9 over 6 plus 10 over 6, which is 19 over 6. Okay, now, why 6? Because you cut each pizza up into 6 pieces. You got 19 sixths. Well, that's the reason. Now that's just a quick introduction. You're going to see more in the open math. And you've got a text section that goes along with that. You can read it. You can view the videos. You can watch my videos. You can take what you got here. But we want to get the arithmetic of fractions down right away. Okay. So you will expect a quiz next time to see how well you did that. So prepare yourself for the kind of problems you see in open math. Not going to have ChatGPT in your hands. Okay. Close the computer. Well, I don't mean right now. I just mean, you know, on a quiz, close the computer, turn it away from yourself. Okay. Just so you're not tempted to do anything. You probably won't be. There's just 2 of you. I can really keep an eye on it. Okay. And again, I'm not interested in keeping an eye on you or being punitive. I just want you to, I want to see what you're learning. I want to see if you're doing it appropriately. I want to build on what we're doing here so that we can move into intermediate algebra in just a few weeks. Fair enough? Okay.